Breakout. Released by Atari in 1976, I remember when this game came to my local arcade. At the time, I was really into playing Night Driver and some of these older games, and I always did like Pong. And I thought this was kind of interesting how this game kind of simulated Pong but turned on its side. And instead of fighting another player, you were trying to eliminate bricks at the top of a screen. This was pretty interesting to me at the time. Now, scoring the game is pretty straightforward. Each row of bricks is worth a different point. For example, the bricks at the bottom, or the yellow bricks, are 1 point apiece. The green bricks, the next ones up, are 3 points. Orange bricks are 5 points. And the top level bricks are worth 7 points each. Once you do break through the top of the screen, the top brick, the red brick row, your paddle will shrink to about 1/2 its size. Now, I don't know about you, but that paddle's awful small to begin with. And if it shrinks down after getting through the top layer of bricks, there's no way I'm going to hit that crazy ball. You're going to see how bad I am at this game when I'm playing it a little bit later on in this video. The highest score achievable on this game is 896 points for one player. This is done by eliminating 2 full screens of bricks that are worth about 448 points apiece. However, once the second screen is cleared, the ball will just simply bounce off the empty walls and the game is basically over. There's no third screen to this game. I can't even get past the second group of bricks, so I never have seen what happens after the second screen. The controls are pretty straightforward. It's just basically a paddle control, just like Pong, and you have a couple serve buttons. Once you press the serve button, after about 4 seconds or maybe less, the ball will pop out for you to try to hit. Now, the paddle has 4 different zones in it. Depending on where the ball strikes the paddle will determine which way it'll deflect from the paddle. Also, as you may notice, the ball does start off slow. After the 4th hit on the paddle, it'll speed up. Then after the 12th hit, it'll speed up even more. If you hit one of the top row bricks, like a 5-point brick or a 7-point brick, the ball will immediately speed up to its fastest speed. That thing really gets moving. That small paddle makes it very hard to hit. Now let's take a look at some home versions of this game from back then. First up, we have the version that's on the video pinball dedicated console. I believe it was called the Atari C380. It's actually a pretty good version of Breakout. Now, what's neat about this little home console, besides having video pinball games on it, did have a couple Breakout games, including the original arcade Breakout. That it had its own little paddle controller on it as well, so it gave you a really authentic feel of having the Breakout arcade game at home. Holy moly, that ball gets moving fast. Now here's the Channel F version. What's odd about this one is they actually call this game Pinball Challenge. Even the box art showed a pinball game, but there is no pinball game on this cartridge. It's a Breakout. And what I like about this version of Breakout is you have a much wider paddle. A little bit easier to hit the ball. The only downside is it uses a joystick controller to move the paddle back and forth, so it only has 1 speed actually, so it makes it a little bit harder. Still a fun game. I played this game for hours and hours on my Channel F. Loved it. Now here it is on the Bally Astrocade. This was also a paddle controlled game. Plays fairly well. One of the major differences you see with this game is it has gravity. As you can see, the ball doesn't move in straight lines. It kind of arcs as it goes up into the bricks. Kind of a neat twist on the arcade gameplay, but it's still Breakout. Oh, get up here, you crazy ball. It's the only frustrating thing about it is trying to get that ball to hit hard enough to get up high. I dig the sound effects, man. They're cool. Next up, the Atari 2600 version. Another great version of Breakout on the home consoles. Of course, this one does use the paddle controllers, which makes it really nice. Plays really well. It's a nice upgrade from the video pinball Breakout version that Atari released on that dedicated console. I can spend a lot of time playing this game. I love Breakout. It's awesome. Now let's check it out on the Microvision. Now this was pretty awesome. Now this was a pack-in that they put with the little Microvision console. It also has a small potentiometer for you to control your paddle. The only downfall of this game is the paddle has only 3 positions for the ball. If you hit the middle of the paddle, it just goes straight up and down. You actually get an angle shot by hitting on the edges of the paddle. It's a fairly decent game of Breakout on a portable. Kind of hard to play. Again, I'm using emulation for this. My Microvision got the screen rot issue, so my screen went dead. So that's the bad thing about this little portable. Over time, the screens go bad, and there's really no good replacement for them. So eventually, all these are going to be dead. Now here's another little cool tabletop version of Breakout called Blockout by Bandai. I remember seeing these back for sale back in the late 70s. Never had one. This one SoCal Mike picked up for me when he was at a some kind of game event. It's actually a pretty good version of Breakout. It's not too bad. Now here's something really cool. Google, if you go into the images search directory and type in Atari Breakout, it'll bring up the search results into a Breakout game that you can play. That is pretty awesome. Google always does some pretty cool stuff like this. Now there are many other versions of Breakout running around out there. I just want to cover just a few. I've seen keychain pendants with Breakout on it. I've seen little coin banks with Breakout. A number of things. I just want to cover a few versions of Breakout that I remember playing, back in the late 70s or early 80s. So that's Breakout, another great game from the late 70s. Thanks for watching.